7 days, 6 hours, 33 minutes, and 35 seconds away from Hogwarts Legacy on the PS5. Here to do one thing and one thing only, and that's blow up! Can't wait to get my hands on this. Have you already pre-ordered? Are you going to buy the game? What are your thoughts from everything that we've seen for Hogwarts Legacy? I think it's going to be a phenomenal game from everything that I've seen, and I don't think we've seen nearly as much as the game has to offer. Today I'm going to be reacting to JoyRaptor's new huge gameplay news leaks and information video that was just posted, just to recap some of the things that has been swirling around the internet. So if you like this type of content on the channel, please be sure to smash that like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you're brand new. I'm gonna be having Hogwarts Legacy videos all year long.
Hey, let's go. So one of the biggest questions that still remained for me was considering wand customization. We've known for a while that we can import our own personal wand by linking our Harry Potter fan club and WB Games accounts, but we did not know if we'd have access to multiple wands or just a single one. It seems likely that it's the latter, as the WB support Twitter notes that we'd like to confirm that you're able to change both your wand and house within the game during the proper ceremonies. Once you've looked into those, however, you will be unable to switch them for that character.
Alright, so we can change our wand. I wonder if they mean like that's just a cosmetic, because in the movie, in the books, the only way you get a different wand is if you get the same wand made, if you broke it, or you duel somebody and you lose the duel and then the wand changes allegiance. But this says, we'd like to confirm that you're able to change both your wand and house within the game during the proper ceremonies. So there's more than one sorting hat ceremony? Or is this, I don't know, this raises more questions than answers. You'll be unable to switch them for that character once it's locked in. I don't know. I'm left with more questions because of this, but apparently the wands, you can change it. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Which does of course make the most sense, because as we all know, the wand chooses the witch or wizard, so having wands drop left and right as loot would feel really out of place. And considering we can choose to import our own wand from our fan club account, we can already guess what customization options we should have. The two core wands are of course the wand's wood type, of which there are many, and the wand's core, of which the three most common ones are a phoenix feather, a unicorn hair, and a dragon's heartstring. The other two parameters that are also visible on your fan club wand are the length, which I imagine could be customized with a slider or something, and the wood's pliability, which I doubt will be taken into account. What we
And again, if you want to do that Wizarding World wand thing, I'll put the link down in the description. But yeah, I've done mine. It's laurel wood with a dragon heartstring. And I was told that that part of the Wizarding World wouldn't transfer over, but apparently it is. And again, I'm left with more questions than this is answering about the wands and how we're going to constitute getting new wands and or lose our own wand. Yeah, let's just keep seeing.
Did learn, again thanks to the WB support account, is that it is currently unknown if your wand will look similar to the sprite of the fan site if you do choose to import it. So while your specifics like the wood and core type will definitely carry over, you might end up with a wand that looks very different to the image. Staying on the note of equipment, we did see a lot of loot pop up during the different previews, including these curious silver spectacles in gameplay from Arix Gaming. To me, these look suspiciously similar to Luna Lovegood Spectre specs, although not the exact same of course, but I do wonder if we can find more gear that serves as a nod to familiar characters. And by the way, Jordan will go more in depth on unique gear finds and transmog in a future video very soon, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it. And during his gameplay, he was also able to loot a pair of Quidditch gloves, which leads me to believe that a variant of the Quidditch gear we mentioned before is still in the game. We'll leave a link to that video in the description for if you're curious. And well,
all right, so there's a lot of things dropping about Quidditch. It is not in the game as told to us by WB support. But there is a lot of talk on the grounds when you're playing in game that maybe next year we'll get Quidditch. A student is heard saying that, and I just feel like Quidditch has to come, right? What do y'all think?
While we were all caught up in watching all the shiny new gameplay footage from the preview, some key developers actually hinted at some really interesting things in an interview with Wizarding World. I think the most interesting info came from senior environment artist Boston Madsen, who encouraged players to go see what happens when you hang out at someone else's common room. And let's be honest, since these are some of the most iconic locations in all of Hogwarts, it would be weird if we could only visit one of them per playthrough, but I am very curious now what will happen when my student stumbles into a common room where they don't belong. Could just be that we get an offhand comment from a student, as there really seems to be a lot of dynamic dialogue based on your character. We already saw this in the previews with students referring to specific events, but game director Alan 2 also stated that characters will comment on how you look. And community manager Chandler Wood, truly a man of the people, because he's already teased some Easter eggs we can look forward to when we get our hands on the game. In the Forbidden Forest, for example, we should try finding a certain lake and keep an eye out for something that may call back to an iconic moment in the franchise.
Alright, this is making my, hair stand up, because talking about Easter eggs, that's obviously one of the greatest things about video games, is finding things that are hidden, and you just, like, when you stumble upon it, you're like, oh, this is from, oh, I can't believe. And I'm pretty sure they're talking about, the lake where Harry's Patronus came to save him in the Forbidden Forest in this situation. And I know that there's a deep cave that you need to go and find that has some Gryffindor stuff in it as well. But for the house thing where you find yourself in a different house that is yours, I'm going to be playing the game 4 different times. I'm going to see what each common room is like off rip. And I do want to see what happens if I'm a Gryffindor and I stumble upon Slytherin common room. I don't know. I'll just get more excited the more and more I hear about this game.
I'm assuming is where Harry first summoned his corporeal Patronus to save Sirius from the Dementors in The Prisoner of Azkaban. Don't expect us to pull off something similar though, because it's very unlikely that we get to use a Patronus charm during the game. Jordan went more in depth on that and other questions the community had in a previous video, so I'll link to that one in the description as well. Another fun Easter egg that's related to a body of water is the fact that Wood also hinted at a certain sea creature who may want to be fed toast, which is of course referring to the giant squid that lives in the Black Lake. And while we haven't seen a live squid during the previews, Tommy T999 was able to discover a hidden cave underneath Hogwarts with a mosaic of a giant squid on the wall. So maybe this is the Easter egg that the community manager was talking about, or maybe there are multiple. Also, that pedestal has to be something we can interact with, right? Maybe it requires a spell, or maybe we can use it to offer bread to our squid friend, but either way, I'm definitely checking this spot out when the game releases to see what secrets it holds. Another cool environmental detail that was spotted by Mike on Reddit is that the Ravenclaw common room probably has a rooftop entrance which you can access via broom, because this glass dome structure, as well as the structure next to it, share some very similar architecture to the Ravenclaw common room. Now, Retro Raconteur tried to land here with his broom and got the "you can't dismount in here" prompt. So maybe it was not in the preview build that the previewers were able to play, or another theory is that this spot might just be available for Ravenclaw students. Again, we know every student can enter each common room regardless of their house, but maybe that's only through the front door, while this entrance is Ravenclaw exclusive. There are, by the way, more places that seem safe to land but that we can't access with our broom, like the Quidditch stands for instance, or other rooftops, as we see here in footage from Wizard PhD. So maybe it's not possible.
I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't know if this was just locked for the creator event. But if this is an open world RPG, I should be able to land wherever I want to. Like, that's kind of the point of me getting on my broom and going to areas that seem inaccessible. But it says landing is unavailable right now. So that goes to tell me that if that means right now, later on, we should have access to it, right? I would assume.
At all, but it's at least a very interesting spot from Mike, which once again shows how everything in Hogwarts is very well connected from the inside and the outside. And the common rooms are of course also where most students will be spending the night, which means the halls will be a lot emptier when exploring Hogwarts in the evening. On that note, we did receive another important piece of information concerning quests, and that is that some of them will have to take place during the day or night. Because the game has a dynamic day-night system, this means that sometimes we will have to wait for the time of day to change, which can be done at the quest location with just a simple press of a button, as can be seen in this footage from the collecting wizard. At the location where you'd normally start the quest for the dueling club, there is now a wait prompt because Lucan, the NPC that starts this quest, is in his common room during nighttime, which again is also the case for other students as the halls are emptier during the night. But yeah, a simple press of the square button allows you to wait and start a daytime quest anyway, even during the night, which is of course a small but still really convenient feature. It also raises the question if there are other ways in which we can influence the time of day.
Yes.
We did see the player character waking up during the state of play, which could just be a part of a cutscene, or maybe you always return to your dormitory after completing a nighttime quest. Either way, I'm personally hoping this means we can go to our bed to change the time of day whenever we like. But no matter if you are exploring during the day or night, you will of course be using the Revelio spell a lot to discover hidden secrets. And did you know that you can cast that spell while mounted? We see this happen briefly in gameplay from the official Wizarding World channel, but yeah, this is of course great as it means you can ping important objects in your vicinity while exploring on your broom.
Yeah, see, and that tells me right there that that whole you can't land here right now is just for a certain time period, because if I can cast spells on my broomstick and I can fly to these areas on my broomstick, then I mean, it's an RPG. I should be able to land wherever I want to. So maybe, like I said, it was for the creator event that they locked these areas down. But yeah, I'm actually more excited about that because some games will limit what you can do on your mount. And this seems to not be the case in Hogwarts Legacy. So yeah, oh my gosh, I'm just excited!
I assume this means we can also cast it on the back of our other mounts like the Grabhorn and the Hippogriff. And another thing you might not know about this essential spell is that it can be used to ping enemies too. This was mentioned by Expecto Go in his preview, and as you can see, it leaves enemies with this red outline that you can see through walls and objects.
Now, I don't know if he's going to go over it in this video, which I don't think he is because we're almost done with it, but when you use Revelio, it also reveals, it pretty much reveals everything within your vicinity, and you get certain colors for certain things. Red resembles an enemy, yellow is loot, and blue are like secret things that are on the map. So like locks that are locked are blue, or chests are blue that are secret in the area. So definitely want to keep an eye out for the Revelio spell whenever you're running in the game.
Asti Krolls also noted in his preview that enemies stay pinged once revealed with the spell, and also that casting Revelio does not reveal your location in stealth. So it might not be our most flashy spell, but it's definitely one of the ones I think we'll be using the most, as again it can also be used to scout out enemies. And we have even more info on the game we want to go over in a future video, so subscribe to not miss that one or the many videos we'll be making when the game releases. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one,
and so that's Raptor's huge secret, new features, and more. From what I've seen on the net, yeah, I've seen a lot of this already. I think one of his best videos is the reveal something huge. This video that you see right here, this huge reveal video, is actually really dope because he goes into talking about 30 frames per second versus 60 frames per second, fidelity versus performance mode on the PS5. And right now, barring the day one update and what it may look like come day one, I think I'm going to be going with the 30 frames per second because there's just so much more detail in the fidelity mode than there is in the performance mode. So if you haven't subscribed to my guy Joe Raptor, you should, because he definitely will be covering a lot of Hogwarts Legacy videos, as well as me. hit that subscribe button with that post notification bell so you don't miss out on anything that I got for you when it comes to Hogwarts Legacy. As always, man, y'all already know what it is. Y'all already know what it was. It's your boy Dubs CP. Here to do one thing and one thing only, and that's blow up! Deuces.